Hi and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave the comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. AEW All Out, the match card and predictions video is here and now for you. And I'm really looking forward to this card. AEW for me on the whole throughout each and every week has been solid building up to this show. I've really enjoyed the build for this show. So many great matches have been put together, which I'm looking forward to discussing during this video. But we must kick things off with, of course, like every time we do a predictions video, with the buy-in. One match has been announced just this past week. Dr. Britt Baker going to be returning to the ring. So excited to see her return against Big Swole. This match is a tooth and nail match, which I must admit I don't know the rules to. I don't believe they've been explained to this point. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this stipulation actually means. Of course, Dr. Britt Baker, of course, is a dentist. She's been very unlucky this summer with her injuries. I'm sure she was in for a big push and a big program with Shida, but that didn't turn out to be. Instead, we've got a nice program that has built with Big Swole in the meantime while she's been injured. She's still been one of the most entertaining parts of AEW on a weekly basis, whether she's, been passing messages to Tony Schiavone or whether she's been, social distance in a little glass case that she's been doing. She's been very entertaining each and every week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her return to the ring. I do believe, though, that she sort of had a lot of the upper hand in places here, and she did get the upper hand on Big Swole just this past evening on Dynamite. Of course, Big Swole was cutting a promo after winning a match she won a 3-on-1 handicap match to get this match with Britt Baker 1-on-1, which wasn't the best match I've ever seen in my life, I must be honest. But she was attacked by Britt Baker, and of course, when there was a pizza shown to Schiavone as a kind of almost like a distraction, really. And we saw that Britt Baker, she seems to be fine. She seems to be healthy. It was quite nice to see her put her finisher on there. I think it was like the lock-in, I think it's called. It was nice to see that move was applied, and it just feels that it's good to see that she's coming back, and she's coming back into the ring. I do think she's going to lose this match, though. I have a feeling that Big Swole is going to pick up the win here, because Big Swole, for me, she's kind of been someone that's been an up-and-coming talent in AEW since she's come in, and she's not really had that big win yet, and I think getting a win over Dr. Britt Baker at this point would do wonders for her. So I think Big Swole here is going to get the victory. I don't think Baker needs it as much. I think she can just roll back in, and I know wins and losses matter in AEW, but I think one or two more wins can turn that around for Baker when she gets back into the ring afterwards, and she can also build herself up into championship contention. I think that this could be a fun match. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what it brings here at All Out. But let's go to the main card itself, and let's start with the Casino Royale Battle Royal. Of course, the winner gets a championship match at the AEW Championship. So we've got quite a number of people that have been announced for this. There's going to be 21 participants. I believe 5 starts in the ring, and then there'll be intervals where 5 more superstars will be announced at each time, and then there'll be the lucky number 21 that comes in at the finish. So the superstars that we know are in this match right now are Darby Allin, Lance Archer is in there, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks were announced as well. We've got Eddie Kingston, Pentagon, Fenix, Butcher and the Blade, and I believe Sean Spears has also been announced for this match. So many people still yet to be included in. I can imagine seeing that we had an interference from the Inner Circle as well, maybe Jack Hager, Santana Ortiz, maybe we're going to have the Best Friends involved in there. I think that anyone that's not been booked in a match here, I think we can see them filled in here. Maybe 1 or 2 jobbers as well might be thrown in there. Maybe a Gift Garrison if we're lucky. Maybe even a Flying Brian Jr. We'll have to wait and see if he'll be included in as well. But what also is nice with this is that there's always an opportunity you could have a mystery person, a debutant, someone that could come in. We got that with a Casino ladder match at the Double or Nothing event this year, which of course Brian Cage made his debut and won the match. So would we see someone coming in, maybe like a Rowan, maybe like a Miro? Could it happen? I'm not so sure, but of course it would be an interesting way to bring someone in. The only thing I would say, though, is that we've had mystery people come in before and win these matches. It would be nice to see someone come in and actually win that's currently advertised for the match. Lance Archer for me, Brian Cage, the 2 people I'd love to see become victors in this, because they belong in the main event scene for me, and I do think they've gone on to do, well, not a lot since their championship losses. Of course, Lance Archer lost the TNT Championship Finals against Cody and has been on Dark a lot recently. And when you look at that as well with Brian Cage, of course, he had the program with Fighter Fest, or no, it was Fight for the Fallen, I'm mistaken there, losing to Jon Moxley. So it just kind of feels to me that it would be good to see these guys back in the main event picture. But if you look later in the evening with the main event match as well, if you've got a heel that wins, it kind of makes you feel it's kind of obvious that Jon Moxley is going to win. I think face versus face or face versus heel is the best road to go. So for that reason, I want to see Darby Allin get the victory because I think that we've had some great matches with him and Moxley previously, and then he can have his match on Dynamite. And as well as that, I mean, maybe Darby against MJF would be a good first challenger for MJF, because MJF then you would expect him, if he wants to win the belt, to have a long, lengthy reign. So for that reason, I'm going to go for Darby Allin. But literally, it could be anyone. I'd love to see Pentagon and Fenix get a push. I'm begging for these guys to do something more meaningful in AEW. A big fan of both of them, the Lucha Bros. So we'll have to wait and see. We might get a surprise out of this. Time will tell. But for now, Darby Allin will be my pick. Dark Order will be taking on the Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky. Let's talk about this match in detail very briefly. Of course, finally, the Dark Order feel like they've got some momentum. That booking where Brody Lee won the TNT Championship off of Cody, that's how you do it. If you go back to December 18th when there was a horror show for the Dark Order taking over the Elite on that show, and the missed punches and just the way that all fans just kind of turned away really at the idea of the Dark Order. And I've not really been sold on the Dark Order from the start. I've always been very public with that. But the way Brody won that championship, the TNT championship from Cody, he absolutely decimated him. It kind of, not to make a WWE reference, but it did remind me of Brock Lesnar destroying John Cena at SummerSlam 2014, which kind of had a similar feel, but also wasn't just the match, the beatdown on the Nightmare family, in general, Cody, Anna Jay destroying Brandy as well. Just the Dark Order were just smelling of roses, looking like $1 million at the end of that. And I think they continue the momentum here. I mean, of course, here we've got the Natural Nightmares coming in, Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, all are going to try and come in to defend Cody here. Of course, Natural Nightmares, naturally Rhodes as well, and QT Marshall, part of that entourage that we have with Cody. It comes to the ring. Matt Cardona, one of the best friends of Cody. Scorpio Sky, it seems one of the best pure athletes. It's good to see him in a marquee match here. Of course, he is separated from SCU here, who I imagine also probably will be in that Battle Royale. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen, but I think the Dark Order need the victory here more than anything. I think that this is a must-win for Dark Order to keep that creditable feeling going forward. Brody Lee must remain dominant here. Be interesting to see maybe QT Marshall, maybe Dustin, someone falls from the Nightmare family, just to add a little bit of spice for when Cody makes his return. Next, we'll talk about a broken rules match. Feels like a last man standing, maybe a hardcore type of match. Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara. This has been an interesting feud between the two. I have enjoyed it, despite the fact we've had a bit of a stop-start in places. We've had maybe a little bit of a botch here with a wrong steel chair thrown in Matt Hardy's face, but they've used it for their feud, and they've kind of made this very personal. I like the idea of the broken rules match. The only thing that makes me feel a little bit negative going into this match is that if Matt Hardy is to lose, that's him in AEW done. He's only been in AEW for about 3 or 4 months. I just cannot see Hardy going away this soon. So for me, it feels like it's predictable, unless I'm in for a shock here and there's something I don't realise, that Matt Hardy maybe will be a trainer or maybe helping out in some other capacity. For me at the moment, I think Hardy is sticking around. I can't see him losing. Sammy probably wouldn't be too hurt. He's suffered a few losses anyway. He's building his reputation back up to try and get, to that point how he was a few months ago before everything with the speaking out movement. It felt that Sammy was going to be on a roll, was going to push himself towards that main event area. At the moment, he's sort of in the mid-card. A loss wouldn't hurt him here. I think Matt Hardy picks up the victory, and I'm hoping, if it's anything as bonkers as these two have done previously, say at the start with the golf carts and stuff, with the Stadium Stampede and, the fun stuff they've done previously, I think that this match probably will be a lot of fun. So I am looking forward to Hardy and Guevara, but I'm going to pick for Hardy to pick up the victory. Another match that I suppose should be a lot of fun as well is Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. A first time ever, Jericho boasting about other matches he's made, and an innovative kind of guy he is. He's now come up with the Mimosa Mayhem match, which, if you're not sure of the rules, these have been explained. It's pinfall, submission, or throwing your opponent in a pool, which is going to be a mixture, of course, mimosa of orange or a little bit of the bubbly. Had to try and do the impression. Probably butchered it, but hey ho, apologies. But we move on to the match itself. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. I must admit that this just screams to me that a heel is being thrown here in a pool of orange and bubbly. There's no other way of seeing this. I don't see a babyface going on. It's a chance to get that cheap pop for fans at home. So it has a predictable factor in some ways, but that doesn't necessarily go for the match itself. I would expect a lot of people would probably expect this to finish with Cassidy throwing Jericho in there for the finish. I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to go with Jericho to pick up a pinfall victory, probably some way screwed over to get the final here if Jake Hager or someone is in the corner. But this is the third match between these two. It's the rubber match. One has won one each. Jericho, as he said, he has made Orange Cassidy bring out a serious side. He's made him speak in promos, whether it's a debate, we should say. He's got a different side of Orange Cassidy, and what he said has brought him to a main event level. I would disagree. I'd say he's at a TNT Championship level at this point, but still, I think Orange Cassidy is fun. He's brought a different light and a different energy to the wrestling scene, and is definitely having a remarkable 2020 and have a great program that he's had with Jericho. I think only goes to speak volumes of that. But I go for Jericho to pick up the victory, and then I think Jericho is going to go for a swim to finish things off. Maybe Jericho gets a bit cocky after his pinfall victory. Maybe he thinks he's going to, rub salt in the wound, if you want, and he's going to throw Cassidy in, and then he's going to end up being there himself. And wouldn't it be fun if he had that white jacket on again, just to go in one more time, maybe just to have some way just to be a bit angry when we get to our next Dynamite? It certainly wouldn't surprise me. But Jericho for the victory, and also Jericho to take a bit of a swim. I think that's the way we're going to go for the prediction for this one. Next, we'll look at Young Bucks and Jurassic Express. This has sort of been thrown together last minute. It was the two teams were teaming together in an 8-man tag. They picked up the victory this week, which, of course, ups over SCU, and as well as that's Private Party. This gave a match against each other, which had an interesting twist to it, though, because, of course, the Young Bucks have been a bit annoyed with what happened with Hangman Paige the previous week. They didn't get their championship opportunity for the tag team titles here at this event, and they showed it. There was a serious side. There was no, joking around or any of the sort of showboating we're used to seeing. A serious, angry side with the Young Bucks, and it's certainly nice. It adds into storytelling for this match, and I think these two teams with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be just one of those, you two teams go out there, put on a show, and I think it's going to be really good. What I would say is that the Young Bucks, I don't think they're finished here with the Tag Team Championship scene. So for me, I think here, wins and losses matter on this pay-per-view. I see the Young Bucks going over and perhaps maybe to take on the winners of the AEW Tag Team Championship match. Let's talk about the next, shall we? Because it's arguably been the feud of the year in some cases here. When you look at it, we've had, of course, Omega and Paige as the champions since January. They went through with a series of programs where they matched with the Bucks at Revolution. They've continued on this journey as two single stars, as champions. Even Omega saying that he still thinks the Bucks are the best tag team going. FTR come in, we've had the tease then with FTR and the Bucks, and we've had everyone on the same side for a while, and then it's sort of slowly changed. FTR have turned heel. Hangman Page has been hanging out with FTR. Kenny Omega's not wanted to drink a beer. It's all sort of been all twists and turns along the way to making this tag team match where FTR, of course, get the opportunity to become the tag team champions because of Hangman Page after, FTR supposedly got in his ear, but then at the same time, they actually blamed Hangman this week and said it's his own fault. He's someone who's insecure, someone who actually did this under his own motives and didn't want a rematch against the Bucks. It's a very interesting way this has all been thrown together, and for me, I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing match here because Omega and Page have done some great tag team matches. FTR, without question, one of the best tag teams going around today. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Do the Bucks cost Omega and Paige the tag team championships because of the fact that they have problems with Paige? Is this going to twist into ways where Omega eventually will turn heel, as he's been teasing for a number of weeks? Maybe the Bucks are going down that way as well. Maybe it's going to be a real unique twist of how this is all done together. But everyone seems to have a bit of a shade of grey here. And what I would say is that we've had Omega and Paige as the champions now for around 9 months, I want to say now. I think it's time for the change. The tag team division has got so many solid tag teams, the best tag team division in wrestling. There's no argument. And I think we need tag teams leading that division. Two single stars should be going after singles championships. It's time for Omega and Paige to get back into the main event picture in my opinion, they need to be going in after Moxley, after MJF. We need to really build up that main event scene, because it kind of feels that after this, whatever happens here, yes, we've got the Casino Battle Royale match, but depending on what happens after that, Omega and Paige seem like ready-made names to throw in the main event scene. So maybe they have their feud, they have their blowout, and then the winner of that can get a championship match. It's time for FTR to win those belts. Maybe FTR against the Bucks is at the next event. Maybe there's a three-way tag match between these guys first. They've got so many possibilities of what they can do here, and what's so exciting about it is unpredictable. Now, if you ask me, judging off what we saw on Dynamite this week, my head tells me that I kind of feel that perhaps maybe the champions may retain. They look like that they were, almost to the point where you felt to yourself, well, they're not on the same page, so maybe they will be at the pay-per-view. But I'm still going to go for FTR, because I think that it's the right time for those belts to change, for the division, for the tag teams of AEW, for the fans as well. I think that we don't want to see the same thing over and over. I think that Omega and Paige has gone the correct length before we have some sort of twist or turn here. And I think FTR, it's right to make them your next tag champs. I'm looking forward to it. I think that this has got potential to be a match of the night candidate, perhaps even match of the year. We'll have to wait and see. Next, let's look at the AEW Women's World Championship match, and the match I'm really looking forward to, Hikaru Shida against Thunder Rosa. It is the AEW Women's Champion against the NWA Women's Champion, and it seems to be cross-promotion. It's exciting. It's something we never thought we'd quite see, and it's exciting to see Thunder Rosa in an AEW ring. I've been a big fan of NWA Power. I think that since that show has come back, Thunder Rosa has been the standout when it comes to the women's side over there. She's been the champion now for a number of months, and against Hikaru Shida, who has arguably built her way up the rankings in AEW over the last 12 months. She has become the power player in the women's division during the pandemic. I mean, of course, some women have been unable to appear on AEW that would have perhaps before, maybe like a Riho, for example. We've seen the likes of Britt Baker injured, as I've mentioned. Shida has come up the ranks and was winning week after week, match after match, when there was a smaller roster that was only able to get there to QT Marshall's gym. She was one of them, and she was a standout performer. She got her chance of winning the championship. She did that from Nyla Rose at the Double or Nothing show. It just feels like that this match feels like money to me. The only thing that's disappointing for me on this so far is we've not seen so much interaction between the two. I would have liked to have seen it after we saw Thunder Rosa's match this week on Dynamite. Thunder Rosa had a great match, by the way. I really enjoyed it. A great victory over Serena Deeb, who of course was making her AEW debut, by the way, and these two women had a fantastic match. I want to see more of both of them in AEW going forward. The thing that's interesting as well is with NWA and their women's champion Thunder Rosa coming in, you do question, is there going to be a working relationship between the two companies going forward? NWA at the moment has been unable to put on shows. This will be a great way to expose some of their talent for when they are able to put shows back on again. Perhaps maybe as well for the women's division. You've got other people there, Allison Kay, Melina. There would be great opportunities to bolster the women's division in AEW. It would be fantastic for the short term to medium term to when perhaps NWA can put shows on once again. For me personally, to put a prediction in the match, it's very difficult to see, but it looks like there's only one championship on the line. My heart wants to say Thunder Rosa because I'm a big fan of Thunder Rosa, but my head says that Shida is retaining the championship. I just don't see, I mean, it would be shock value to see the NWA Women's Champion take the AEW Championship and say, right, okay, I've got both belts and I can take them back to NWA. It would just have shock value. It would add an intriguing story, a destined for a rematch. Maybe if NWA was coming back in some point in the near future, they could bring the match over to their side. It would be lots of different exciting ways they could do that, but I don't feel that's going to happen. I think Shida is going to retain, and perhaps then we can start seeing, like we said, the likes of Britt Baker coming back, Big Swole, maybe both are being pushed up a little bit, and maybe, just maybe, they could be one of the two next challengers for the Women's Championship. So I'm expecting this to be a great women's match. I think it's going to be one of the best AEW women's matches to this point. I think that Thunder Rosa is going to have a great showing. I think that AEW are going to want to have her back. That's my opinion. And I do think that Hikaru Shida is going to walk away still your AEW Women's Champion. Last but not least, let's talk about it then, shall we? The AEW World Championship match. Jon Moxley, I would have done it Justin Roberts style, but unfortunately, no way I was going to do that justice against MJF. Of course, surely we'll have Wardlow in his corner, you would expect. Now, this feud for me has been amazing. MJF doing his little campaigning, it's been so much fun watching it. MJF is just amazing on the mic. He's just amazing of how he's just pretty much ripped everybody that's been a part of his campaign to shreds, and also some of the killer lines he's given to Jon Moxley in the meantime. The most fun I've had watching a contract signing in wrestling for years, watching him and Jon Moxley, keeping the social distancing just like the hairline, just for me was a great killer line. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But Jon Moxley, he's one to throw it straight back at him and saying, you'll get there when you hit puberty. It's just, I don't know, the back and forth between these two, it feels genuine, it feels real, it feels, there's something about this where this feels like a proper rivalry. I have enjoyed it. I love the fact that we've had the twists and turns, how the paradigm shift is not allowed to be used in this match. Somehow MJF has got his way, but Moxley, he didn't need it double or nothing. Didn't he choke Brody Lee out? I think this probably should have been looked into by MJF, because there obviously is a way that Jon Moxley can retain, and maybe, just maybe, that is going to be an alternative finisher for Moxley going forward. Maybe we're going to see a debut of a different finisher. Who knows? Because in AEW, they like to mix things up. We don't see the same thing over and over again. There will be something innovative and something different in this match, I'm sure, that we're going to see. The question is, though, will it be enough? MJF is on a roll. His winning streak has been incredible. I believe the only matches he's been lost since Dynamite's gone on with their win-loss record has not been in singles matches. They've been in tag matches. So I do believe that MJF in a singles run has been flawless. The other thing you have to say is Jericho was the first champion. Moxley has been the second champion, and it's been over a year or so now that we've had the AEW Championship around. Is it now time that you could turn around and say that it's time for no WWE or former WWE guy? It's time for what I would call a homegrown talent, and that's what I mean by non-WWE. This is their biggest payday, the biggest spotlight. They've been around on the indies previously, but this is time for someone who's got their big shot in AEW, and this is where they've stood out and gone to more of a casual audience to become a household name. Is it time for one of those superstars to carry the mantelpiece, to win the championship, and to carry AEW going forward? I think it is. I think it's the right time. But again, if you look at the end of the show, MJF was holding up the championship. In classic 50-50 booking, he would not be winning this match. But that was WWE booking. This is AEW we're talking about. There's no way to say that MJF doesn't win here. I wouldn't be surprised if Moxley continues as champion, because of the fact that Moxley's done a great job as champion. He's creditable as the champion. He's carrying the brand really well. And you do think to yourself that maybe, just maybe, Moxley will hold the belt until we've got the full list of fans. I know we've got a small portion of fans back, but to have the full set of fans, is that the right time then for when MJF should win the belt? Or is it just the way things have fallen? Is that the way the pieces have come together? Because it does feel like, for me, MJF, his time is now. He's got a long future ahead of him. He said it's the starting point now to 25 years, the next 25 years of him at the top of the card. You wouldn't be shocked to see it. MJF, is an incredible talent. He's well ahead of his time, ahead of his age. He seems to have what feels like bags of experience, and he doesn't. He doesn't have that experience. He's just naturally gifted. He has it. For me, it's time he wins the championship. I think that even though we don't have the full set of fans there, it's time to have that homegrown talent, as I've said, to hold the championship. It's time to get these new stars to be made, to be born, if you want. It's time to put people like Jericho and Moxley in the upper mid-card section, and it's time to have your very own superstars that have not come from WWE at the top of the card, because I believe AEW over the next year or two, there's so many stars that can be made. People look at people like Jungle Boy, you look at Darby Allin, you look at people that have been around like Lance Archer, who's been in New Japan, Brian Cage that's been in Impact. They look like main eventers, those two. They should be around that top of the pecking order. What about the Elite's own, the people you'd expected to be there from the start? Hangman Page feels like he is definitely the person that should be taking the belt when it goes off of MJF or Moxley, if you look at another 3 to 6 months from now. But Kenny Omega is another star who you would think should be carrying the company, because he arguably was the best wrestler in the world and the face of the company when we started. We've done a different route with Kenny Omega. When is his time to go to the top? There's so many names like that. So names like that have come from WWE, like Jericho, Moxley. It's time for them to be in an upper mid-card position and help elevate those other stars to the top. Looking at Moxley then and MJF to give it a final prediction, as I've kind of slightly gone off tangent, perhaps on a little bit of a passionate speech there. I'm going to go for MJF. In my heart is saying MJF. My head says Moxley, but I think that it's the right time to pull the trigger. MJF will become your brand new AEW World Champion. So that's everything from me there. That's the whole card. That's the predictions there for you. That's my thoughts and feelings when it comes to AEW's All Out. I'm expecting a spectacular show. They delivered so well on all their pay-per-views up to this point. I would be even pushed as hard as to make a favourite at this point. I do think that AEW does give solid pay-per-view events. So I'm excited to see what they're going to bring Saturday evening. I'm sure there's going to be some twists and turns that I haven't seen, that we haven't seen, and perhaps we're going to be given one or two great surprises throughout this show. But let me know your predictions in the comments below. Would love to know your thoughts on what you think is going to happen at All Out. Please share with a friend. If you've got friends that like AEW, I like to do AEW videos. I want to do more of them. Let them know about SCW. Let them know that AEW videos are involved on here. And the more support that's given, the more videos on AEW will be done going forward. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time here on SCW. Take care. Have yourselves a great day. I'll see you tomorrow for This Week in Wrestling. Take care. I'll see you then.